so excited to be here today with Lynell Masterson. It's going to be perfect. I don't know exactly what is showing on the screen yet, but if you're not showing on the screen yet, I wonder if this makes a difference for what people see. They have to see your unicorn headband. It's perfect for Halloween day. All right. So before we get started with what I'm so looking forward to talking with you today, I'm going to give my weekly digital marketing spiel because that's what I do, and I just love this stuff. And I have to say that one of the things that is so interesting to me is that the week before Halloween, something switches, right? From September, we're all like, oh, we're going to work on our business and we're going to go forward and we're going to make changes and this is so great. And then the week before Halloween, it's like, oh, the holidays are coming and I'm not ready yet. And there's this like panic happening in the world, business world that I'm hearing, and people it's already getting ready for the holidays, And so I'm going to add to that and say, yes, it's a great time to market your business and to not do it like, in a panic, but to be super strategic and to figure out what it is that you want to promote, to be able to take advantage of people's spending or looking for ways to give this particular season. So of course it's gift certificates and coupons and specials. And what I would like people to do is understand that you could throw social media on the walls all day long and it may or may not stick. But if you are really strategic and you are reaching out to the people who already know you and love you and have a relationship with you, hey, Jody, that email marketing is your number one. If you did nothing else for the next couple of months in order to grow your business, of course, I think social media is important. Of course, I have all of those things about blogging, search optimization, AdWords, all of that. But if all of those were to go away and you only did email marketing, it would be it would give you the most return on investment of your time, energy, and resources. So I have just a couple quick things that I wanted to share with people because I really feel strongly about it. And in fact, I think I'm going to run a whole free like webinar kind of program next week. So stay tuned. I'll be putting that out as soon as I've recorded it and made it kind of reasonable. But to your point, Lynell, I won't wait for perfection.
Ha, love it.
I love your unicorn horn.
Oh, thank you.
So can you guys see my screen? Is that what you're seeing now?
Yeah.
All right, how to have your best holiday season ever. So drive new customers to your door with a great promotion. All right, so have your best business holiday ever. And so, I love numbers. So many people will make a purchase from an email on a mobile device like that. Click through, buy. Shoes. For me, it's Keen shoes always. Although I'm freaking out about Freebird boots. I don't know if anyway. So Freebird boots they've got my number because they're showing up everywhere on my advertising. 27.3% of Black Friday sales originated from email. And so you want to get that going a couple weeks ahead of time, which is actually next week already. And then email drives 174% more conversions. That is, contact me by now, set up a conversation with me, than social media. 174% more conversions.
Ooh,
I didn't trust that. I mean, this is the numbers that Constant Contact gave me. I didn't trust it, and I went and did research, and I didn't see anything lower than that. I saw numbers higher than that.
Wow.
These are some dates to just kind of keep in mind and work back a couple of weeks from that in order to figure out when you're going to send your stuff. And now page 10. So just here's some ideas on what you might do, because people, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. So you're going to give a quick message from your heart, and then you're going to offer a coupon or a discount, free shipping, gift cards, gift with purchase, exclusive content, a discount on my services, a free discovery call, whatever it is. Make it something that people can go, yep, and they click that button and you have their information and you're ready to go. In addition to those, right? Discounts, downloads, free downloads are fantastic for people who don't necessarily have a store or even a product they're selling, but they're selling their services. Maybe it's a gift card. Events that are coming up that will help people out. Business to business services perhaps you offer. Hints and tips, of course. that's a huge one. If you have none of these other things to offer, offer hints and tips. And it's really just a matter of engaging with your people and, of course, support a cause. So that, my love, is a digital marketing moment from me. Now I have to figure out how to... Okay, so now you're back on me. All right. So now I would like to figure out what to do here. I'm going to make you guys big.
Oh, no.
I'm going
I
to do...
want to be taller. Yes.
Okay, and now I'm going to introduce today's guest is Lynell Masterson. She is a counselor and healer working with people to overcome their personal obstacles so they can create the life they want. When I asked Lynell what is her superpower, she said it's her ability to use failure as the key to her success. She's going to be talking about confidence and cultivating confidence as part of being okay with our imperfection. I think that's everything I've got, Lynell. It's all you now. Tell us tell us your wisdom. Give it to us, unicorn.
Oh my. So I just wanted to explain the unicorn horn. Of course it's Halloween. So I thought about putting something, like some sort of hat on. And just as I was getting into I'm actually in my house right now. As I was getting into my house, someone handed this to me. So I was like, okay, that's a sign. I'm supposed to wear this. Funny, yeah. So yeah, unicorn. I don't know. I feel like that has a lot to do with being unique in who you are and is related to the confidence topic that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that I feel is really important with confidence is to really do things without needing to be masterful at it. Oftentimes we think that confidence comes from being really good at something. And like, no, I can't do that because I'm not good at it. So I'm not going to do it. And there's that sort of insecurity around it, right? But what we don't understand oftentimes is that, first of all, in order to be good at something, we need to actually practice it. Practice is the key to everything. And by practicing, we actually will master something. But the confidence can come before we've mastered. And the practice we can actually not be so good at. So really, I love when people will actually jump into something. I work with clients, and like when I work with my clients, one of our biggest celebrations is when they actually do things that are out of their comfort zone, things that they're not familiar with, things that they're not necessarily good at, and they do it knowing that they may not be perfect at it, but they still do it anyway, and they feel so good about it. That for me is like a great example of confidence, and being able to be you in those places of not being so good at those things. Does that make sense to you? And
makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say that so much of my work is geared on this, right? Is that part of doing things and not being so good at them, and not letting that, again, we talked a little bit about the perfection, not letting perfection get in the way of stopping us from going out there and going after what we want. It is such a hindrance for so many people because they just keep saying, I'm going to wait until all the stars line up and I'm better at this before I go out there and go after what I want. And I really have to say and encourage everyone to if you know what you want, start going for it, and then you will get better at it, and that confidence will actually naturally happen even when you're starting something new, as you practice this ability of going out there and not being familiar with something, right? So I learned this a while ago. I started doing things that I wasn't so great at, and I realized that in time I became better at them. And now that I do things that I'm not so great at all the time, um, very often, I'm okay with me not being good, and I have the confidence naturally in the beginning. So it is something that you can cultivate and build up on and not be good at while you're being confident.
So I have two questions for you on that, right?
Good.
So we grow up. If there were one thing that I would say to my younger self, it would be that you
Yeah.
can't fail. You can't fail, right? Like do it
Right.
and you can't fail. So
Yeah.
we have so much stuff to get out of, to just say, yeah, I can just do this without worrying about being judged or judging ourselves. We're so much harder on ourselves than anybody would ever be. Oh my God, there was a great, I'll have to post it on the Rise Above group. I got in my car this morning with the dog and NPR was on my radio, and it was a woman doing a thing exactly like that, how insecure she felt in high school and how she didn't fit, and she thought everybody else was so insecure, and she ran into somebody years later and they were like, oh, they said to her, you really had it all together. I always admired you. Like I felt like I couldn't pull it together. And she's like, are you kidding me? That's what I thought.
Wow.
But a
Yeah.
question for you would be,
Yeah.
you said, so go out and get what you want, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's yes, for that. But for those of us who don't always know what it is we want, like there's so much open to us.
Yeah.
Talk to us about like how confidence can even help us with that part. Like you can't just not do, right? You've got to do something.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. For a long time, I was very unclear about my path. And so here's what led me to do this work and to finally figure out what the heck I was doing with my life. I mean, it took me a really long time.
Yeah.
I started moving in the direction of joy. And I didn't know completely what I wanted, but I knew that certain things brought me joy and other things did not bring me joy. And when you start moving in the direction of that joy, you're going to find what you want to do. So, and here's a great little tip about how to figure out what brings you joy. You check in with your body. So you take a nice deep breath. You center yourself, and you just focus on being present in the moment just for a few seconds, because that can be challenging sometimes. And you ask yourself the question, how does this feel for me? Immediately, you will know if something feels neutral, if it feels exciting, or if it feels like you clench and you're like, ugh, right? We have this inner information, this inner guidance to tell us what we want. It's just learning how to access it. So the first step that I do with clients that I work with is because I do have people that are just like not clear about their path. Some are and are afraid about it to go in that direction, and some have no freaking clue.
Yeah.
So when you can begin to ask yourself the question, so if I start painting, take a painting class, does that feel joyful for me? Or, I just lost my, hold on, I got to put it back on.
Perfect.
Is that, yeah, because these feel joyful to me right now. Is the horn in the little bow. So yeah, does this feel exciting for me? And maybe I feel a little nervous about it, but I still feel my heart feels happy thinking about doing this. And then that is the direction of something that brings you joy and something you may want to do. Now, when we're talking about like work life purpose, there could be classes that you want to take to get an education, and it's important to know, that joy may also come into it and some feelings of anticipation or fear, and that's okay as well. But the joy will always be there, right? And so that's how we lead someone into finding what they want to do, and the confidence of taking that chance of doing something that makes you feel good is will be there as well. So if you take that risk and go do that one thing, you'll notice that you're going to start to feel better about yourself because you're being true to yourself.
Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
it. It seems so simple, right? What feels
It,
right? What
it,
brings you joy?
it is very simple. It is extremely simple. Actually, it's funny because so often a lot of the practices that I um, remind people of are basic practices. We really overcomplicate everything. You know, we're so good
So
at that.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a situation I'm going to share talking about confidence that had me for probably a week or so really reeling and wanting to hide. And I share this because I want people to know that I've not mastered this where I'm always like, oh yeah, I always feel great about myself. There are definitely times in my process that I begin to question me and how I want to show up. So I had a particular judgment happen with me of, someone actually saying something to me in terms of looking at how I was doing something in a judgment type of way of like, what you're doing is like, this is not the right way to do it. And so here's how I approached it. I looked at it and said, okay, is what is true about this? Because I feel like whatever comes up, we can always look at and question for ourselves. At the same time, everyone's on their own journey and not everyone is always going to resonate with where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural way of the world. So when this judgment came to me, I began to look at my life, how I was showing up. And I was saying, okay, actually, there is some truth to this thing that's being said, which was, by the way, not easy to see. It's hard to see the truths about ourselves that are like, ooh, that is true.
Oh.
So I made this decision. I was like, oh yeah, that is true. And I actually, for me, want to adjust this. But see, then this little sneaky part came in and wanted to totally overhaul it for everybody else because I thought, well, people will like me more if I overhaul everything because I want to make everybody happy. I don't know if there's people out there that have this tendency of wanting to please others, but
I
that's been
think there are a few, yeah.
a huge part of my journey is always wanting to make other people happy, and learning how to be me and be okay with not making everybody happy. That's been really hard.
Yes.
So this lesson that I'm talking about had both pieces in there where I was able to look at the situation and adapt a piece that was very helpful. And I'm extremely grateful for the situation because I had a blind spot, and that blind spot wasn't a huge thing, but something that I was ready to shift.
Yes.
And I literally went in and I was honestly, Susan, I was ready to like be different, like overhaul my whole self to make everybody like me better. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. No, that I won't do that ever again. I will not be different so that I can be accepted more. And that was really, it was such a great learning. It was so funny because I knew this, but it hadn't presented itself in so long where I had to make that quote unquote decision to be me or to change myself for others. And what had me thinking about like a metaphor that I thought about that might be helpful to the people that watch this is that I was like, okay, I can stand on my head for everybody because some people are going to like me standing on my head.
Right.
But then I can like put my arm out, right, for other people because some people might like that, but then the other people might not want me standing on my head, so I might have to do something else. And it's like, oh my gosh, I could go crazy
Oh my gosh.
trying to be all these other things for all these other people. And that's not going to work. And then I'm going to be so miserable and tied up, literally. So it was like, duh, of course, this is how we can also present ourselves in the world, to be authentic and confident in who we are. It's that continual check yourself, hear what's going on around you.
Right.
And also remember that these adaptations that you may decide to make or not would only be for you showing up to be the person you want to be, not so that other people like you or accept you. And that was so powerful for me. So I'm very grateful for, as I said before, very grateful for that experience. Although, by the way, it was painful. And I don't want to not mention that process can sometimes be very difficult and painful to go through.
Right.
Like, we need to honor that as well.
Especially depending on where the source is. If it's somebody
Yes.
that if somebody you don't care about, whatever. But if it's
Yeah.
somebody you care about, and if it's if it's offered in a helpful way, then that's one
Sometimes
thing
it's
you have to look at.
this particular situation was not offered in a helpful way. That's also why it was very painful for me.
Wow.
Being able to look at something that was not offered with love, because personally, I respond really well to love. I think most people do. And,
Yes.
and that's really like when I work with somebody, it's infused with love and care, right? And it's so much easier to open and receive. When something is not infused with love, ouch.
Yeah,
And
but you handled it anyway. And it's I read the book, The Four Agreements.
Fuck yeah.
And so that part, right? Not holding on to necessarily what other people think of us was hugely important. And also the art of detachment, not being responsible for the outcome necessarily, but to do what you honestly do feel. And I personally am just kind of starting this journey because I did digital marketing. There's a trillion people that do digital marketing. And it was hard for me to figure out what is my offering? What do I bring to the table? What will bring me confidence when I'm working with people? And that is that just I show up as me, and there's nobody else who can show up as me. And so that's really all I can have to offer. And it makes it so much easier.
It really does. Somebody reminded me of, the book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I'm not sure how you say her last name. She mentions in her book that there's the bread aisle. There's so many different types of bread you can choose from. It's like saying why me? Like, why? There's so many others out there. And it's like, hey, we need that variety of bread to choose from. And it's really important to have, I am very appreciative of all the people out there doing the work that they need to do. And our unicorn uniqueness always shines through, Susan, and you are just a beautiful source of love and light. And so I think that, your work emanates that as well. You as a person emanate that, and your work emanates that. And that is distinct.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, now I have all confidence to get out in the day today.
That's right, baby. Go out there.
I'm going, but I got to get my unicorn horn. I think all I have is a banana costume somewhere.
I love it.
I don't know where my banana costume is. Oh my goodness. I'd love to see if Jody or Linda's walking around, if anybody has any questions for you. So while we still have a few minutes.
Oh, sure.
Anything?
I just think, because Lynell and I had a really wonderful chat the other day.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
We could have spent 2 days together without even breaking, but we had other things in our life we had to tend to. But I think that really important thing that I've learned from Susan and reinforced this morning, and also I'd have to remind myself a couple of things. One, doesn't matter what other people think of you, because that's their business. That's not your business. You have to be yourself. You have to show up, and you have to be kind to yourself. And step outside of your comfort zone a little bit, and that's okay. And just, you know what you know, and you have to share your brilliance with other people, and they'll either like you or they won't, and they'll either be part of your life or they won't, and you have to be okay with that. And if they're not the right people, then who needs them anyway? And I said that on the internet, business, so watch out.
You know what, Judy? That's so true, and it's such a great point, because I feel like the more we can be ourselves, like faster, the faster we can edit through the people that we don't want in our life.
Right.
Right? Like if we, so that thing I said to you, because I used to hide, like I was a hider, I would try to be like, I could tell what people would want me to be, and I would pretend to be that because I wanted to be accepted. That was my journey, that I needed to work through. And so I had probably a lot of people around me at that time that weren't my people, but they didn't know who I really was because I was hiding myself. And so I wasn't able to sift through to really find the people that I do belong with. And so I am such a huge advocate for, really stepping into all of who you are, even, what you may perceive to be your flaws or your misgivings, and the people that want to be around you will love you as you are. And that is so powerful and so supportive, by the way. When you find your people also, like you're going to feel like so loved and so held and so cared for. That being said, we need to be our best support system, and we can't always rely on others because people have bad days, right? And no one's perfect. Yet there's this underlying theme of support. And I went to the Lady Summit a couple of weeks ago, and Michelle Kelly and Patsy Culp, I went to their workshop. They were two amazing women, and they were talking about accountability partners. And they said, in this part, they said, whenever you're not feeling good, go to your conscious, your compassion crew. And I thought this was amazing. Finding your compassion crew of people that, if like you're really having a hard time, or you're not feeling cared for, you're not doing a great job doing it yourself, you've got those people to reach out for. And that was really powerful for me. I wrote down my compassion crew, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are the people that I know that no matter what, they're not going to judge me. I could tell them like, like tons of crazy things, and they're going to love me and hold me through my whole process. So, so I would love to share that along with everybody else too, to write down your compassion crew. To
Oh
have
my goodness.
for you. Isn't that awesome?
So awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I mean, accountability is one thing, but someone who's going to love you if you're having a bad day or not feeling good, going to pull you out of that, raise you up. You need that.
You do need that.
You two ladies are, I see you as being that as well. Like those do that.
Like to think so. Lynell, how do people find you? What is it like to work with you, and how do people find you? And what's a good call to action today for people who listen to this?
Yeah. So, okay. People find me. You can email me or go to my website. It's Lynell@LynellMasterson.com is my email, and my website is Lynell Masterson. And will you have that up, Susan?
Yep.
Okay. And then, what was your other question? How do I work with people?
Well, yeah, kind of. What is it like to work with you? What is it that you do for people?
Yeah. So right now I'm shifting my focus to specializing with people who are really working on healing core relationship wounds, from really like core wounds that need healing. And so that basically means when you're struggling with relationships that aren't working, and you're feeling really frustrated because you keep repeating these patterns over and over again, and you're not really sure why things are not working out for you. That is, I've now am in the process of creating this really amazing sequence. I do it naturally, but I'm actually making this very succinct process of working with people in a specific way so that they heal these core patterns that they've been living their whole life. I actually blueprint it out for them, and we do a lot of investigation as to where does it come from, and learning how to work with it, and then that creates the shift to begin to do things differently. So really excited about that. And it's literally is the key piece to help people not hold themselves back from achieving what they want for themselves. That's the key component, because this gets in the way when it's not addressed. So that's what it's like to work with me. I do a lot of I work out of my house. In my third floor, I like to call it the temple. And part of the journey to work with me is actually coming to see me. It is I call it a spiritual pilgrimage to actually come and physically drive to my place. The work is done out of my house, which is infused with love. So the space is held with a loving, compassionate willingness to hold someone in all of their essence, and that means when they really suck and they don't like who they are, or they don't like how they're showing up, being able to hold that in a loving, compassionate way is very powerful for people. So then we trek through the sacred pathway of my 3 flights of stairs and go to the temple, to the 3rd floor. And so there's a lot of ritual in terms of the way I work with people, because ritual to me is very impactful in bringing into our day-to-day and creating change. It's otherwise known as habit. I saw that you had
Can't Start Today, Power of Habit.
Power of Habit. That's a great book. I read it, and
Yeah.
it's very, very important. And that's ritual, by the way.
Yes.
So, and that's where it originates from. So that's a little bit about how I work with people. I really love what I do. It is all about the relationship with the person that I work with. And like I said, we go on this journey together. So it's really, talking about that compassion crew, that is such an important piece of it, is being able to hold someone while they're in their process of evolution. So
well, this is probably a good time to mention that you're offering, for people who listen to this talk that we've had, that you're offering a free hold on a second. There's a lot of F's here. First face-to-face session free. If you mention that they've heard you speak here today. So that is a very, very generous offer. So thank you for that, for people who listen. That's amazing.
I really want more people to to get out there and do this work. We'd have such a happier vibration of this world, because it's very powerful, even if it's not with me.
Well, I might just do that right away. I also want to say you're offering, I mean, everybody, right? I'm all about calls to action and building up our list. And you also say, send Lynell a message and get a free tarot astrology reading to learn more about yourself.
Yeah. Okay, this is so cool. So this is very much tied to the work I do. I also, along with those core wounding patterns, we begin to look inside to see who we actually are, and working with the unconscious or subconscious mind. So I use these tarot readings, this astrological tarot reading, and I do some other ones as well, to dip into the unconscious mind, to tell us what's showing up and what you're seeing for yourself, and how we can see in these images what some strengths are that we have, and also some of the things that may not be strengths that we can work with in a loving way. So this is it's really fun. I love doing these tarot astrology readings. They're really cool. So we would need, just so if you do want to do this and you do want to sign up and meet with me, there is we need your birth time. So that's why we could do a more a broader overview, but to be specific in your moon sign, because we do sun, your moon, your rising, and your Venus. And I use the major arcana, the court cards, and the minor arcana, and showing this image of who you are and how you're showing up.
So cool.
Yeah.
Lynell, thank you so much. So LynellMasterson.com, hit her up, get a free session, get a tarot session, get inspired. I love your videos, Nell at Night, always inspiring.
Yeah,
Lynell,
fun.
thank you so much for spending time with me this morning.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, Susan, for this.
I will see you soon.
Okay.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care. Okay, bye.